All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to you, wherever you are in this beautiful world. Welcome to our Inner Circle Live pre-New York session. I'm your host, Ryan Carthage, joined by my awesome partner, Mr. Benny Allen. Hope everybody is doing well today on this beautiful Tuesday. So, as always, let's turn off all distractions, grab a pen and paper, let's take lots of notes, and let's make sure that we participate and engage. All right. And as always, we want to make sure that we start off taking massive action. And that action stands for accepting all possible losses before entering a trade, preparing for any outcome, setting yourself in body, mind, and spirit, ensuring a balanced approach to trading, trusting your education, strategy, trading skills, and intuition. Imagine your trade successfully materializing, obey your trading strategy, avoiding decisions based on greed or fear, and never looking back or stopping once your trade has commenced. All right, so let's get down to business. Uh, got a bit to prepare for as we have some CPI data coming in today for the United States, which a lot of eyes are on, looking to see what happens with the data and where the Fed goes from there with the data. So want to be prepared for that. Also, just looking at the yen and the intricate details that are there and where the Bank of Japan is as we move closer to these wage negotiations wrapping up with the largest union uh, in the country. So let's hop over to we'll go to trend economics first, and then we'll take a look at the calendar, and then we'll move from there. All right. Real quick, just drop me one in the chat if you guys can hear me okay. Oh, chat got to be open first. There you go. No, it should be good. All right, perfect. Appreciate it. So let's do it. Benny, good morning, bro.
Ryan, good morning, sir. How are you? Good morning,
I'm
everybody.
doing I'm doing well, man. How about yourself?
Man, doing pretty good. Doing pretty good.
Awesome. Awesome. Glad you're feeling better, bro.
Hey, I appreciate it.
Good deal. As we move over to the fundamental side, anything top of mind for you before we dive in?
Come on, man. It's CPI day. That's all. There's nothing. I, there's nothing that's it, man. That news you're about to cover now with Japan and things like that. But CPI, man, all eyes on CPI. That's why you see the market just kind of in chill mode, right? Just
Yep.
waiting on that data to come out. It's almost like the trading week starts after that data at 8:30. So that's all I'm waiting on. That's it. That's all I care about right now.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I dig it, man. All right, so let's uh let's go through the details that are here. Then we'll look at the calendar. So UK wage growth slows more than expected. The regular pay, which excludes bonus payments in the UK, went up 6.1% in the 3 months to January, the least since October 2022, and below the expectation of 6.2 rise in the previous period, and uh, the expectation of 6.2. Meanwhile, the jobless rate edged up a bit to 3.9 from 3.8 and higher than the forecast of 3.8. And then the the employment fell by 21,000 jobs. All right. So got some interesting things happening with coming out of the UK, but overall still relatively bullish on the pound pair so far. Um, I'll come back to that when we got Brent crude futures rose around 82.5 per barrel on Tuesday, recouping some of the losses from the recent session as investors look forward to the US CPI data later on today. All right, so we got that there. Then we had Japan producer prices. They rise the most. They rose by 0.6% year on year in February, faster than 0.2% rise in the prior month and above the market forecast of 0.5. It was the highest producer inflation since last October as costs rose further for most components, right? We won't go through all the details, but they're all there. So producer price index increasing in Japan, right? So kind of all starting to line up for the Bank of Japan, even though there's some interesting conversations that are happening. I'll hop over to Bloomberg real quick. Ueda says the market's recovering. Uh, but there's some weariness on the stock market side. I'll send this article to you guys, but basically he's saying that he's still waiting for some additional data points to come in this week. Basically, 15th, those wage numbers for the largest organizations to come out. Now there are some members of the Bank of Japan that are looking at a April increase, not a March increase. And they're looking more for they want to see some of the smaller organizations. They know they have a pretty good idea of where the larger organizations are and the large union is. But they also want to see if some of the smaller companies are able to also give similar pay raises, right? So it's kind of there's another article here basically talking about how it's kind of mixed coming out of the Bank of Japan right now. Too close to call is what they said, right? So um we got a week still to go. Some more data coming out of Japan, but it's right on the line right now. Like I said, you got some members that are looking at an April hike instead of a March because they want to see some of that additional data that comes in toward the end of the month and beginning of April before they make that decision. So this will be an interesting call as we move through the end of this week and into next week with those wage negotiations. So that's the state of Japan and the Bank of Japan and the yen. Um, so with all that said, depending on how the CPI data comes out, we could see some retracements in the yen crosses. We got GDP numbers that came out for the yen on Sunday night, right below expectation. Um, Final GDP price index year on year. This was a quarter number. This was a year on year. Came in above the expectation. So that one gave a little boost to the yen. Then we had that PPI data came in there. Here's our reports from this morning that we just talked about coming out of the UK. And then today, right, we got CPI data coming in at 8:30. Going to be some very interesting numbers, and we could see the market be pretty volatile. So in these scenarios, we want to make sure that we don't try to anticipate the numbers, but we trade after the fact, right? What after the reaction, then we look to see where the market pushed, and if it pushed into our zones, then we will look to take some trade opportunities if they meet our rules, right? So, but this is what the market is sitting waiting on right now, right? And then we got bond auctions coming in at 1 o'clock this afternoon as well for the dollar. And then tomorrow we got GDP for the UK and crude oil inventories and 30-year bond auction for the dollar, right? So things slow down a bit until Thursday, where we got core PPI data, which is also going to be big numbers along with retail sales and unemployment claims. Then on Friday, we got Empire State Manufacturing for the dollar, U of M sentiment for the dollar, and like I said, those wage negotiation numbers for Japan. All right. So got quite a bit happening this week that could definitely give us some volatility and push market in one direction or the other. All right. So that's where we are. Questions from a fundamental perspective. No. All right. Cool deal. Benny, anything additional to add to any of that?
No, sir, you're right on.
All right. Cool deal. All right. So let's hop over. We'll take a look at the dollar. We'll come back to this dollar yen scenario, but the DXY on the 4 hour, right? Fresh AB boundary, we're in a retracement phase. So the question is, right, how does the data come out And do we get a retracement and a high price on the dollar, right? Do we get price to push back up into the zone and then make a move back down, right? So we'll watch and see how the data comes out to determine what is happening there. But we're in a retracement phase right now, down retracement zone, right? So pushing back to the upside, we'll see how deep that retracement comes on the 4. If we bounce back to the daily, all right, this is what the overall fib look like on the daily. Okay, we got an 8-6 retracement trying to make its way down, but you see we're caught here in this range. And so it's a question of, and I'm actually just seeing this, but do we continue to the downside or do we get a crown pattern here? I just saw this. Do we get that type of action? All right. Does the CPI data come in hotter than expected? Then does the PPI data also come in hotter than expected? Push to the upside. Jamie Dimon in an interview yesterday also stated that he stated that he's always talking about a lot of things, but the recession isn't off the table, and that inflation could be stickier than we're giving it credit for. Also, President Joe Biden also stated that inflation could be a stickier situation than expected. So, if that is the case, if it does turn out in the numbers that that is the case, we could see a dollar rally. Right? If we see a dollar rally, then things could potentially change for a little while when it comes to rate cuts and those rate cuts for the dollar, because that's what investors are looking for, right? When's the Fed going to cut rates? And so that could push the expected rate cut of June right now back a month to July, right? So that's kind of what the anticipation is and what folks are waiting for. So we shall see how this scenario here plays out, whether we continue moving to the downside or we get this crown pattern and a push back to the highs there at 107, 107.23. All right. So that is the DXY. Any questions here? No?
No, sir.
All right. Cool deal. Let's take a look at this dollar yen. So overall, right, the beautiful 80-20 scenario on the 4, beautiful pushback down, came back to a 50% retracement level, ran a sub fib off the high here, right? Just tracking the move to the downside, strong bearish action. We got an 80-20 scenario on a sub fib. So we're getting a reversal right now. We broke below a key daily level here, which is going to be interesting to see how price continues to respond here, right? All going to come down to the data. But if we're able to break back above 147,536, we could see that deeper retracement come, getting us back to 149, just shy of that 150 level, right? But ultimately coming back to retest this range here. All right, we're in that range for a bit, and we broke down. We're looking to see if we can push up, get to those D extensions on the daily time frame, but we didn't. Broke down, beautiful move. Now, right, it's all about what happens. So if we see a rally in the dollar, this could even continue to the D extension, right? And that's something that Benny's been talking about for a while, is watching these yens run back to these yen crosses run back to the upside, right? So want to watch this to see what happens with the data. If we do get that dollar rally, and we could see this go ahead and push to that D extension, which is a 152 level, is that daily D extension here, right? So something we want to continue to watch and pay attention to are these daily levels that we broke through. Do we break back above and continue pushing higher if the data comes out and supports that? All right. So couple different scenarios that could play out with some of these yen crosses. So especially with the dollar. So we'll see what happens here and see if we get that run back to the upside. All right. Any questions here on the dollar yen? This is the scenario that I'm looking at right now. 80-20 on the sub fib. That could turn into a longer C to D move, getting to that 4-hour D extension, that daily D extension there. No? Okay. Cool
Nope,
deal.
we're
So
good.
that's appreciate it. It's the dollar yen. Let's take a look at the dollar CAD. Let's clean this up a little bit. Boom. So this is the deal on the dollar CAD on the 4, right? We got a deep retracement 8-6 level, has some consolidation, then we got a breakdown. Okay. So that's on the 4. Let's go back to the daily larger view. And there we are there on the daily time frame. So we got an 8-6 retracement here as well. Broke the inner trend line, moving down, right? And we've been caught in this range for a while, right? So it'll be interesting to see how this one plays. Again, it all comes down to the data, right? If it's strong for the dollar, we could see this continue to rise, take out that A and continue pushing to the upside. Okay. So this is one that we'll just have to continue to watch and see what happens, right? But there on the 4, you see the breakdown there and that move that came last week to the downside. All right. So now we'll watch to see if we get a reversal and a push back up, or if we continue moving down and get to the D extension here at 132,543. All right. So that's on the 4, coming down to the 1. We're going to run fibs off the low, and that's the move there. So you see the fibs are back and forth, right? You got a mismatch on each time frame, which um, is a visual representation of the consolidation that we see, right? Just been moving to the side. And so we'll see what happens. Here we got a deep retracement, 618 level, right? If we get a dollar rally, the extension there at 136,575. So it's all come down to the data, as we've said. So we'll watch that and see how things go. Okay. So nothing doing there on the dollar CAD. Any questions here?
No.
All right. Cool deal. Dollar Swissy. We're going to clean this up and go back to the daily here. See, we didn't take out the A, and then we got the consolidation on the 1. So daily time frame. Here we are. AB boundary, we've been in this retracement zone or retracement phase, right? And so now we're sitting looking to see what happens. Do we continue pressing higher, break that 88,748 level, continue moving long? All right, so that's the question. Do we get that, or do we make our way back down to the downside, ultimately making our way to the D extension there with dollar weakness? Okay, so that's the back and forth there. Coming to the 4. Run the fib off the high. And that got taken out, so we'll flip it. Boom. So there we are. Got a double top there at the daily resistance level, and we're in this retracement phase. All right, we already got to a 382 level. Zoom in so you guys can see that. Already got to a 382 level, right? And so now, same question, right? Which direction do we go? Okay, so we'll sit and wait on that one. So not a ton doing there either. Coming back down to the 1. Boom. There we go on the 1 hour, right? So we'll sit, watch, and wait. Got an 8-6 retracement there. If we rally, then we'll get to that D extension at 89,020. Okay. That's a dollar Swiss. Questions here? No? All right. So the dollar cross that's interesting to me is this New Zealand dollar. Right. Here we're on the daily time frame. See the consolidation that we've been in, right? We had a beautiful 80-20 scenario, pushed down to the 382, played out great, right? So now the question is, what happens here? Right? What happens here? We do have the makings of a crown pattern here. We took out the A, foresee the right tip, right? And do we get the move to the downside, right? Or do we take that out and just continue moving long? Okay, we already came back. We got a double top scenario potentially forming. if we close lower here today, right? So this one intrigues me quite a bit, right? And again, coming down to the data and what happens, but we have that idea um forming there. All right. So now we come down to the 4. And we zoom back. Yeah. And here's our capital fib sequence here. Boom. All right. So we got a 618 retracement here, right? But we've been stuck in consolidation. Okay. So what direction do we break out? Are we able to break above the 62,171 to the upside, or do we turn over and move down? So that's the question there. Again, not a ton doing, but just looking to see what the scenarios are once the data comes out, and we'll look to see where price pushes on these. All right. And then coming down to the 1, you see here we're already in this retracement phase, coming back down. We're coming into a 618 retracement level on the 1, right? So we want to see, do we break above or do we take out the A? Okay. So that's where we are on the New Zealand dollar. Any questions here?
No questions.
All right. Cool deal. Cool. What's I got here? Take a look at this pound Aussie. We'll run through the pound pairs as well with that news that came out this morning. Push price back down to the downside. So coming in here to the daily time frame, right? We've been watching this move and looking at the bullishness on the pound, right? And we're in this consolidation phase here, pushed up, weren't able to break out, we pulled back down. And so the question is, do we get a deeper retracement, or are we able to turn back over and continue making our way to the upside, getting back to this 197, 473 level? Okay. We come to the 4, we had our C to D set up here, right? Beautiful move off the 8-6 level. Push to the upside, but then we got this deep pullback, right? Came right back into the 618 retracement zone, tried to break out again, came right back. So this move down, right, came with the wage data and the employment data, right? So we push back down into that 618 retracement zone. So ultimately, we're consolidating, right? We're consolidating. Um, So we want to see where price goes, but this C to D move is still intact. We haven't taken out the A. Price came back down to the low. Gives us another opportunity potentially to look at the C to D move to the upside. Okay. So we're sitting in that 618 range again. So I'm still looking long on this pair. So this is an opportunity for me to get long here and place that stop outside the A. All right, so that's the C to D scenario here. Stop loss outside the A boundary. Boom. And then move back to the high there. Like so. Okay. So that one's still in play. Still in play. Hasn't gone anywhere yet. Anybody still holding this one?
Yes.
Good work. Good
Me
work.
too.
Good work. What was that?
Definitely.
You said you're still holding the Jeremy, or you out of it?
Yeah, holding too.
Still holding. Beautiful. Great work. Great work. Patience, right? Great patience. Great patience. So there we go there. On the one, this also gives us an opportunity here, right? Overall, just been super choppy. So came to the most recent low, ran a fib off the high. We had an 80-20 scenario here. Beautiful breakdown. Came down to a 786 retracement level, and we're trying to turn over here. All right. So trying to push back to the upside. So here, if you don't want to swing that off of the four, you want to take a lower time frame, shorter duration move potentially, right? 786 retracement, looking for price to get back to the matching D extension at 194, 418. All right. So your scenario here on the one would look like this. Boom. There you go. All right. Same process, different time frame. Okay. So there you are there on the 1 hour setup if you trade on the 1 hour time frame. Okay. Questions on the pound Aussie. Oh, all right, cool deal. Oh, cool. So that's the pound Aussie. Let's take a look at the pound CAD. There's another one that's interesting. From a daily time frame, we're looking at long opportunities here, right? We got our head and shoulders pattern here, and we're looking for this potentially to play out, all right, to the long side. Looking for that to play out to the long side. Okay. Um, Started moving long. We broke the neckline there, and we're pulling back. This was a previous level of daily resistance, trying to serve as support here. All right. So we'll see if that is able to hold and see if we get price to turn over and push to the upside. Okay. So overall long there. So we'll come to the four. And this is what we have here. We have price pulling back off that AB boundary. We had a previous fib here, shallow retracement. This is one I was looking at last week. Didn't play out. Got stopped out here, right? Pushed to the D extension. Didn't get the retracement. But now we're getting the retracement. But this is where Benny talks about having some of those caveats in your trading plan, right? We got a 50% retracement in line with the previous daily resistance to serve as support. All right. So in line with a key level of support, potentially, if this is in your trading plan, right, you could look to trade this to the upside here. Got a decent pullback, 50% with a key level of support. Right. So looking for price to push to the upside here, making its way to the matching D extension 174, 969, and completing that head and shoulders pattern to the upside. Okay. So looking long there, if this meets your rules, that could be an opportunity for you, right? On a play to the upside. So as we come down to the one, look at it a little bit smaller, got a similar scenario, right? Came just shy of that 50% level here, right? And there's that support, and we're trying to turn over. So if we get price to turn over here and use some additional confirmation, trend line break, cloud break, boom, right? So if we're able to get a trend line break, then we could look at that move to the top side. Okay, so add your additional levels of confirmation here, because we haven't gotten that deep retracement level, right? I would play this a little bit more cautiously, right? And wait for that trend line break and see that move to the upside there. Okay. Because you see, we got a pull back here, weren't able to break the trend line, just move sideways through it. So I would play that more cautiously on that move back to the upside. Okay. But there's the opportunity there, potential on the C to D push on the pound CAD to the upside. Okay. Questions here? No. All right. Cool deal. Pound yen. So, in talking about those yens, right? If we get price to turn back over and push to the upside, right? We broke below this previous monthly resistance level, right? And we're testing it again now to see if it'll serve as resistance or if we're able to get another push to the upside. Okay, so looking for at least another drive to the upside, potentially getting us back to the highs. And then we'll see if we get price to turn over end of the week, beginning of next week. Coming down to the 4, right? Here we are on the 4. We got a 50% retracement. Price just missed the D extension, gave us the pullback. So are we able to make another push to the upside to get to that 4-hour sub-fib D extension? Thought I had a larger fib on this one. Yep. Here. All right, so that play is a smaller fib. Here's our larger capital fib opportunity here, right? But all points to price pushing to the upside. So if we get to the sub fib D extension, that'll also be the D extension here on the 4. Okay, so looking for another drive to the upside. You see, last night we got a bullish push, and then with the news this morning, got a pullback. Right, so see if we're able to turn back over and push back long, get to the D extension, then we'll get a nice reset. Okay. Also with the Bank of Japan, in the article of Governor Ueda, he also said that um, he's open to changing multiple policies if their 2% inflation target is met. So their yield curve control will also be one of the things that gets adjusted with the increase in the cash rate. So there'll be kind of, these are my terms, kind of large sweeping changes in multiple policies with the Bank of Japan once they do make that decision. So looking at this over the long term, right, as we've been watching these from a weekly time frame, right, all of that would be the catalyst for this move to make it back to that 382 and potentially even deeper, right? Um, so large sweeping changes could call for moves to the downside, and we'll get our pullbacks in between. But that's how all of this with these yen pairs and yen crosses would make sense, right? All of those changes hasn't happened since 2007. Fundamentally, it makes sense. Once it does happen, we'll see these moves play out to the downside, right? It's just being patient and allowing it to develop and then make its way to its destination. All right. And then on a daily time frame, right, there's the move there that would also then make sense. Right. So looking at 1,500 pips to 382, and this could be, right, an even longer term scenario that could push even deeper. So continue to watch, continue to be patient as we prepare for these moves to come. I want to run these trend lines to the upside to watch this here. It was a trend line break. Boom. So we'll watch and see. We'll watch and see. So as we continue to move through this, we talked about the 4. So coming down to the 1, and this is where we are. We're just in this consolidation right now. We got an 8-6 retracement here. It didn't give a new fib here, 187,944. It did get to that D extension though. So this is a fresh AB boundary here. I think we'll get the fibs to reset on Smart Trader, but there's that fresh AB boundary. There's a pullback to the 618 level. My question just is, do we get a deeper push? Do we get price to turn back over and potentially take out the A, but push a little bit higher, something like that, as we move through the week this week? And that this also, right, is data dependent, right? Because if we see the dollar, if we see the dollar collapse, right, then you'll see the safe havens start to pick up some strength, right? So you'll see these yens turn over, and you'll see these moves start to happen a little bit sooner, if the dollar doesn't hold up. Okay, so things to think about, right? Tons of different scenarios there. You guys follow me on all of that? Any
Yeah,
questions? I know we're talking gibberish.
Yeah.
can you go back to your daily
Yeah.
and Zoom? I don't know if this was the chart. I was looking, I don't know if it was the daily or the hour, but how you had it Zoom, it looked like everything just played off support.
Oh yeah, you got
All the
on this move to the upside, you got beautiful breaks, retests all day long to the upside. You talking about
okay.
right here on this where price is holding? You talking about?
Yeah, I was looking where price was holding, seeing this like how the previous move,
Yeah,
I know
you
the
do.
past prediction, how everything kept hitting off support,
Oh,
especially if it was a double top or if it was like a lot of hits in that zone, it kept looking like it was playing off support.
yep. I follow you here. Yep, that is a level of support right there. Boom. And you see that holding.
Yeah.
Take that down. Good call on that. Appreciate that. As we come down, right, you see strong push down, pull back, push back down to that level, holding, and we'll see if we get another push to the upside. Appreciate that, Joy.
For sure.
All right. So that makes sense. It makes sense. All right. Somebody else had a question? No?
No?
All right, cool deal. Let's look at this euro dollar. This is another one that is in an interesting situation. Yeah, unsure on where the ECB is going to land, right? What'll happen there? We don't have a ton coming out of the Eurozone just yet. You did have, I believe there were a couple ECB officials that sound a little more dovish than hawkish, but not a ton happening. So this one is also going to be more dollar dependent, right? But weekly time frame, we've seen this for a while. We're sitting in this 118, 127 zone, strong push to the upside. Crown pattern here that's been there, right? And we're looking to see what happens overall there. Coming down to the daily time frame, another crown pattern here in the shorter term. So we don't have the swing how to form yet, but again, coming back to that CPI data and what happens, right? If it's soft, right, and below expectation, this will be invalid and we'll see the push to the upside. However, on the other side, right, if it is strong for the dollar, we could see this turn over and make its way to the downside. So something I also have my eyes on from a longer term perspective. So as we come down to the 4, if that is to play out, right, here's our scenario for a C to D potential C to D push. I put that all the way down just due to that crown pattern, but you got an 8-6 retracement on this fib. Boom. So if we stay inside this A boundary, potential move to the downside, right? So different scenarios to watch as the market moves, as that data comes out, and then we'll say, okay, if it gives us the additional confirmation that we need for the short, then we can look short. All right. Boom. There's our trend line to the upside. Okay. Trend line break, potentially trend line break if it's a strong impulsive move, right? Maybe look for a trend line break and a pullback. Boom. Right. And then look for your opportunity to get short. Okay. If that occurs. So it's all if then statements, right? If this happens, then we do this. If that happens, then we do that. Right. So being patient there, but that's a potential scenario that we can look for, right? And see if that plays out. And the other side of it is price takes off to the upside, takes out the A. Then we're just flipping the fib. Boom. Right. Looking for that D extension to be achieved in a fresh AB boundary. And then we'll see if we get an 80-20 on a retracement. Okay, so that's on the 4. Coming down to the 1. Here you are there. You got to that 382 level, and price is trying to push long, right? But stalling in this 118, 127 zone, right? So we'll watch and see how it goes. We'll see if we're able to break that 109, 978 level, or if we stay below that and make our way back down to the downside. Okay. Questions on the euro dollar? Oh, all righty. Aussie dollar. Similar scenarios, right? Been short, right? 8-6 retracement, downside, got a pullback. Again, we don't have the swing high forming just yet, but potential crown pattern here. Okay. So do we get same scenario? Do we get swing high to form, price break, come back down to the downside, or do we take off, take out that A and continue take out the high and continue pushing to the upside? Okay. So that's the question there. So similar to the euro dollar, right? Here on the 4, just shy of a 618 retracement there. Boom, right? Had a previous daily resistance that we broke above, came back and retested. So, and we're just stalling now, just waiting to see what that data says. Okay, so just like that euro dollar, if we stay inside that A boundary, that would be your scenario. Whoops. That'll be your scenario. Okay, so something to watch for there. Okay, as we come down to the 1, we're just trickling sideways. We got a 618 retracement, talked about coming out of the weekend, got that push down, right? Do we turn over and make our way to the upside, or do we push back down? That's the question. Okay. So that's the Aussie dollar. Questions here?
Nope.
All right, cool deal. Give me 1 second, everybody. All right. The Euro Aussie is trying to play out. It's trying to move, but stuck a bit as well. Right. So this Euro Aussie been looking at long opportunities here. So daily time frame, there's a move off the 618 retracement level to the upside, came back, retested that daily support, and we're trying to turn over and make our way back to the top. All right. Coming down to the 4, where we had the setup. Where'd my fib go? But we just, on this push down, we just wicked that A boundary. So we took out the A there, right? Flip the fib, run it to the downside. There's your fresh AB boundary there. Coming down to the 1, here's where we had a 618 retracement and a double bottom. All right, took out the A on the 4, but on the 1 hour it's still intact. Right, so we're looking to see if we can get price to continue this move to the upside. Excuse me. Dollar data, right? If it comes in strong for the dollar, then we could see capital flow out of the commodities, right? We could see this euro rise a little bit. Okay. So that's what we're looking at here. We're just moving sideways, just like everything else, but looking for this C to D push. Ultimately making its way to 169.069. All right. So that one's still intact, just pressing sideways right now. Okay. Questions on the Euro Aussie? And you can see, right, it's just being patient and allowing the market to move the way that the market moves, right? Regardless of how you slice it, how you try to break the system is the system, and price is going to move the same way, right? So we're just sitting tight. We're just sitting tight, and we'll see which way what the data calls for. Euro CAD. We were waiting on this C to D move. I mean, this 80-20 move here to play out. And it did, right? We got to the 382 level, boom. So now, do we continue to the upside, right? Get to that TP2 level? Or do we turn over? All right, and this one would be separate from everything, right? But which way do we move here? So overall, looking, oh yeah, just try to push them back to the upside there. So this one is an interesting scenario from a longer term, higher time frame perspective, and from a lower time frame, right? So from a monthly time frame, we got an 8-6 retracement, right? And we just been consolidating here since the beginning of last year, right? Just tons of back and forth. Weekly time frame, right? Your capital AB boundary, you got an 8-6 retracement, your sub fib off the 80-20 on the weekly, right? Put us into another 80-20 scenario, and we're just hovering sideways. So I'm indecisive on this one. I haven't seen anything convincing for me in either direction. Waiting to see what the ECB has to say regarding where they stand on rate cuts. They haven't stated anything yet, been pretty firm on staying still. And the Canadian dollar's been indecisive. So I'm looking to see what happens here. I've been looking for this move back to the upside. Overall, based on these higher time frame charts, I'm looking for a move back down, right? But we'll see what happens, right? We need the fundamentals to support that move, and there isn't a support on the move to the downside just yet. So waiting there. So it's interesting from a higher time frame perspective. You come down to the daily, you also don't have a 382, right? And we're sitting at this level of daily resistance, 80-20 scenario here, right? So monthly deep retracement, weekly 80-20 deep retracement, daily 80-20. So there's some higher time frame confluence but looking for a fundamental catalyst that would also support that. Okay. 145, 398. Joy, you still holding this? Beautiful. I'll pull that back up on the 4 in that 80-20 scenario. So Joy wants to see this daily level broken and this thing continue to rise, which I dig it. I dig it. And it's possible. It's definitely possible. So higher time frame confluence, we got the 80-20 here. Joy says she's been holding since 145. Say 145, 398. Sheesh. Beautiful. Beautiful work. Right? Joy's been in since right here on the move to the upside. Out of that 118 and 127 zone. 191 pips to the upside. Jeremy still holding as well. Beautiful. Drop some sevens in the chat for Jeremy and Joy for holding that thing still. Right? So looking for that daily level to be broken and price continue pushing to the upside. Great work. Great work. So that's where we are, right? Beautiful scenario. So let's see how things play out there, right? Down on the 1, just with your 382 here, right? So you're matching matching the extension is 147, 847. Excuse me. Okay, so that's where we are on this EuroCAD. Any questions here? Yeah, that's great work, man. That's great work. Nope. All right. Got a couple minutes left. Benny, you got anything else you got your eyes on, bro? Oh, Swiss yen. If I'm looking at this, bro, you got anything that you're looking for as that data comes out?
No, not really. Waiting on like we covered over the weekend, some pullbacks, right, to the sweet spots on some
Yeah.
of the pairs. And so I'm hoping that the data that comes out can be a catalyst for it. So kind of just waiting for price to drop into those zones, right? We need something to get the market moving. So hopefully this is it. But that's it. Other than that, nothing outside of what you covered. So
All right, cool deal. Want to look at the Swiss yen to wrap things up here, right? So just hovering in the zone there. We got the 80-20 on the weekly time frame, 80-20 on the monthly time frame. We're trying to see if we can get to that 175, 219 level. We'll see if we make it there or not. That'll be a daily de-extension, right? But we're pushing back to the upside right now. We broke out of the consolidation, pushed down. Now we're pulling back. Come down to the 4 and running the fib off the high, just a sub fib, smaller wave. So bring it back. Capital fib, we got a 786 retracement. Matching D extension is 173, 370, right? Ran a sub fib off the high, looking for a high price, and we're starting to turn over. We just missed that 382 level, pushed down to the 118, 127 zone, and now we're trying to pull back. So if we can get a high price here through this week, right? If we can get these to run back into the zone here, right? I'd be looking for potential opportunities to get short. So looking for a high price there, but there's an 80-20 on a sub fib moving back to the upside on this Swissy yen. On the 1 hour, that's what it looks like there. Okay. So just looking for high prices on these. Looking for high prices on these. So that's the last one I wanted to cover there. S&P on the 15 looking short. All right. Any questions on anything that we covered this morning? Nope, no questions.
I wanted to I guess I've been noticing trying to decide whether to trade in my 1 hour or my 4 hour, but I'm noticing that the 4 hour, even though it's longer, you get a better setup. Because sometimes on the 1 hour things might get taken out. So when you're evaluating whether to trade on the different time frames, what do you really assess, or do you just go back and forth?
Well, one, right, your higher time frames control the lower time frames. You know that, right? So when that 1 hour gets taken out, then you'll have that potential opportunity on the higher time frame. Um, I I trade both time frames. Um, my entries mostly come off of the 1 hour time frame. But if you're looking just to stick to one, I would say go back to your data, right? And in your journal to see which one you felt most comfortable with. Um, and just stick to it, right? Because the more you stick to it, the numbers will still play out in your favor, right? Because we've seen on the 1 hour time frame those 80/20s play out and the CDDs play out, right? So the numbers will still play out in your favor. It's just more about which one you're most comfortable trading on. So I will go back to your data and go back to your journal, right? And think through which scenario, the length of time, what your feelings are as you're going through it, what what your comfort level is sitting in those positions for. And Ben and I were just talking the other day, right? Just about how many full moves have been sat in. And going back, we exited trades early, right? Instead of allowing them to get to the D extension or allowing them get to that 382. So looking back at your data, say, okay, can I sit in these moves and allow them just to go? One of our things, one of our commitments is allowing these trades to fully play out, right? Not cutting them short, just allowing them to swing, allowing them to go. However long it takes, it takes. So it is going to come back to what your comfort level is on each time frame and in your level of patience to sit in it and just allow it to do its thing through the consolidation, through everything. Benny, what are your thoughts on that one, bro?
Thanks.
Same thing. It really comes down to the person. The strike rate's going to be the strike rate regardless, of the time frame as the edge plays out over time. It really just comes down to, to me, your lifestyle, your ability to be patient, like Ryan said, and the ability to sit in the trades. I all like me when I'm at my best. It's off the four. That's just me and my data and my experience. It's off the 4 hour. My mentor back in the day, that was his chart too, was the four. He wouldn't really delve too much further than the 4 hour chart. So it really just comes down to the person. We know that the methodology works on all time frames. So you're gonna trade way less on the four, because they're larger moves, they're larger swings. And that the beauty about trading on the four is I'm more so looking to add to positions over time as opposed to trading brand new setups because they take a while to run.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something to think about. Because they can run for quite a while, which is cool. I mean, especially if making money is making money. So it really, I like the four as well because it really helped me back in the day to stop from really over trading. So that's my opinion.
Yep.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
All right, we'll wrap this up here. Jeremy talking about the S&P 500. See 80/20s on all your time frames coming down. And then on your 15, let's see what we got. On your 15, you got 80/20 as well, right? So that's all lining up in that 118, 127 zone on all the time frames. Jeremy said he likes the four as well, gives an opportunity to scale in. Joy said she loves to see when the 1 hour and the 4 hour have same setup, right? That additional confluence on multiple time frames. So there it is. So that's the S&P 500, 80/20 from the daily all the way down to the 15. Definitely potential opportunity. We'll see what how the data pushes this in one direction or the other, right? If you see some hot data, you could see this pullback in the stock market come. All right. Benny, anything else before we wrap it up, bro?
No, sir. Great session, man. You covered a lot of details, especially fundamentals. I can't stress enough, right? Really, really getting your head wrapped around the fundamentals because they matter. It's what makes the market move. It's what the major players are looking at. So we know we have some major fundamental data coming out at 8:30 today, just a little bit under an hour away. And so just continue to be patient. Appreciate everybody being here this morning.
Yes, sir. All right, good people. Patience pays. Patience pays. All right. Don't just count your pips, count your blessings. Have a phenomenal day. We'll see you in the community. Let us know where you are. Let us know what setups you're looking at after the data comes out, and we can chat in there. Until tomorrow, have a good one. Peace.